In this tutorial, we will implement a votable loadout system. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. And if you want to access the code or the assets of this tutorial or looking for help, you can check our Patreon in the description. Let's continue with the tutorial. Hi everyone. In this tutorial we are going to do a votable loadout, so you will be able to define and customize your own loadouts, and then this device will display them to the players through, and again, a customizable UI. And probably this is, if not the most, one of the most customizable devices that we have till now. You can so of course everything comes with default values, but you can customize this device really high. So let me go through the options that you have for this device first. So I'll come to the loadouts, but first I'll go through the UI settings. So there is a header texture that you can set. I mean, you should there's a header texture that you can set, and then of course you can set the size of it and then the offsets of it. Then under the header texture we have a timer text, and you can set the offset of it relative to the header texture. And then at the bottom, at the most bottom of the UI, we'll have a text that displays the remaining players to vote. And again, you can set its top offset relative to the vote frames. So basically we're going to have, so I have a little bit, so this is not the widget itself, but I've used it for, doing some tests, since we're doing the UI with verse. So it's going to be something like this. So we are going to have, and then header textures, what was it called? Loadout. Yep. Let's do that. Okay, that's a bit much. Let's do this. So we're going to have the header here, the frames here, so we can have like from 2 to 5 frames that can be votable, that can be selectable, and you can set that exact amount on the device as well. And then at the bottom we're going to have a text that says something like 5 players remaining to vote, or I mean however players, right? So of course these boxes will have details in them. And then you can set, so we come to, then we have progress bars. So for the progress bar we have a border, and these for the stats that will be on the frame. So we have a progress bar texture, and then we have a background texture for that. We can set their sizes and set their offsets relative to each other again. Then we have, inside of that bar we have a fill texture. So basically this fill texture will be in between the bar texture and the background texture. So we have four stats to display on the frame, and for each stat we have a different fill texture that you can set. And the good part about this, so for this version I have used like health, shield, movement speed, and then jump multiplier. But basically it's just 4 stats, and you can change them to anything you want, right? Then we come to the frame background texture. You can set its size, set its offset, top offset, and the in-between horizontal offset between the frames, and then total frame count. you can set it from 2 to 5, and I'll just do 3 for now for this one. And then at the bottom of the frame, we are going to display the weapons and items for this loadout. So in total, we're going to display 2 weapons and 2 items. And then you can set the texture sizes for those. And then we have the icons for the 4 stats that's going to be showed on the frame. Then we have the sizes of them. We have the left and top offsets of them. And of course, all these default values are set from the code. So you can actually, use the default values as well. But if you want to customize things, it is highly capable of customizing it into different shapes. As you can see, everything is exposed. A lot of things are exposed to you as editable values. So this is the vertical offset between the stat icons. So then we have the item stack box. So basically we are showing all the item. So we are showing the 4 weapon and item textures together. So we are using a 1 offset for all of them. Then we have we have a loadout name. So at the bottom of the frame background, we are going to display a loadout name, and these are the offsets for those, for that text. Then of course at the bottom of the frame background, we have a button to vote, and we have an offset for that. And at the bottom of the button, we have a text that shows the amount of votes that being casted for that loadout, and we have a top offset for that, which is relative to the button itself. And then you can set the vote seconds. I just set it to 10, and then you can set the audio player that will play when a loadout is selected. Then we come to the loadouts themselves. So this is all just different different versions of the same thing. So I have 5 loadouts here. So basically a loadout takes, so you set ratios for the 4 stats. So these ratios are to display on the UI. So these basically set how much the progress bar will be filled. So for example, this is a tank class. Since the first 2 are the health and the shield stats, I'm setting them to 1, so that those progress bars will be displayed as full. And this is like a swift strike class. So this is a like fast speed assault class. So that's why I have the 3rd stat, which is the speed stat, is set to another high number and stuff like that. These are, so let me make sure these are just for these 4 values are for display only. So these won't have any gameplay effects. So these are up to you to set properly, since in the class selector, in the class designer details of my tank class, I have like high health and shield, and that's why I've chosen high health and shield ratios here. Okay. And then for the weapons and items, you can set your textures again. I mean, I just for this one we don't have custom textures, so I just set some textures from the Fortnite assets, right? And then you can set the name of it, and of course you need to set the class selector. So I have 5 loadouts, and for each loadout I have a class designer, basically detailing the items and like adjusted health and shields and stuff for that class. And as I said, like I have made it so that my 4 stats are health, shield, movement speed, and jump. But basically you can make those stats something else. You don't need to use the same stats. Since the loadout is using a class designer, you can make anything else that can be done with a class designer. And then of course we have the class selectors that are paired with the class designers. And it's the same thing for all the other loadouts. I just have in total 5 um, classes. And another important point here is that make sure that your voting frame count is greater or equal to the amount of loadouts that you have. In this case, I have already 5 loadouts, and voting frame count can be set to 5 as a max value, so it's okay, and it's 3 right now. So voting frame count is going to, what the device is going to do is it's going to randomly select voting frame count amount of elements from this loadout array, and then it's going to display them to the players to select. And so that was a comprehensive explanation, because we have many values here for you to customize. And then let's continue with the code here. So here we have some variables defined to, this was a note for myself, so let me delete that. So these are just used while handling the UI code. So here you can see the loadout class. We have already seen it. We have already seen all these editables as well. And then we come to so we are storing the canvases for each player here, and then we are storing which votes selection did each player voted, and then we have the total vote counts, and we are checking in if the vote is active. And the early end vote, this is to check if everyone if everyone votes the loadouts, then we don't wait the entire duration to finish. We just finish the voting at that moment. And of course, the one point I forgot to mention, we have a start vote trigger, which is the trigger device you use to start the voting, right? And you can't start a vote if another vote is already active, because the vote will be shown for all the players. So if a vote is triggered, we are initializing our data structures, we are selecting random loadouts, and then we are showing that on all players, and we are starting the async loop. So we are counting down here, we are updating the timer text, right? And if there's an early end vote, we are making sure we set the timer back to 0. So then, depending on the votes, we find out the winner, and if there are more than one votes with the same vote amount, with the same vote count, then we're basically selecting a random one. And then we are to explicitly display the winner selection, we are hiding the buttons of the other selections and only showing the winner one. And then we also set the text button text of the winner selection to winner. Then we do a little flashing effect on the winner loadout, and then we remove the canvas from all of them, from all the players, and then we change the players' classes to that class. And of course, all this changes and the item grants will be done by the class selector device. Here, this is what we do when a vote is clicked. So we just increase the amount of that vote, decrease if there was a previous vote by the player. So a player can change their vote if the vote is continuing, and of course we look if the vote is ending. When a player votes, we set that button as voted, and we are updating the vote text and the players remaining to vote text. And this is for debug information. And then this is our main so this is our outer canvas creation function for the loadout canvas. which just calls the inner function. And here we have the header texture, the timer text, and at the bottom we have the player's remaining text, and then we have 2 to 5 frames, loadout frames. So here we create a frame canvas, and then here we have a frame background, we have the stat icons, we have the progress bars for all those stats, and then we have the weapon and side item icons, we have the loadout name, and then we have the vote button. So this is just since it is highly customizable. If this was not something this highly customizable, it could be much more simple. So we could just make most of these stuff into just one texture, right? As you can imagine. And it would be much easier. But since we wanted to make this highly customizable, we separated each of these like elements to other widgets and stuff, and we exposed their variables. So we have the vote button, we have the vote text. So this is just a bunch of widgets that's laid out, nothing complicated. It's just a lot, right? It's just work to do. So then, yeah, this is the entire thing, except we have the progress bar canvas, which is just the background texture, the fill texture, and the progress bar border texture. They are all laid on top of each other, and of course we are using the progress bar fill ratio as well. Then we have the item stack box, which is we are using a horizontal and a vertical stack box, and the vertical stack box is an element inside the horizontal stack box. So we have the weapon item textures as large, horizontally laid out, and then we have the smaller 2 item icon textures in a vertical text box as an element in the horizontal stack box, right? Actually, it was much, maybe saying like that makes it more sound like as if it's more complicated, but it's actually not. It's just 2 stack box. And then then we have the each in this item stack box, each texture is not a direct texture, so we are actually creating them as a frame texture. So basically we are just adding like white lines around them to form a box, so that we are forming a frame around those images. And there's still, and all of it, it's just a lot of canvas and UI stuff. So let me scroll back slowly, scroll back up slowly so you can see the entire thing. So this is the item stack box function. Then we come to the create progress bar canvas. Then we come to the function that creates the frame canvas, right? We have the icons, we have the progress bars. Then we come to the inner loadout canvas creation function. Then we come to the button click event, right? Then we come to the async function, and we come to the editables and stuff like that, and that's about it. Okay, let me show you this in action, right? So if I can get my Fortnite in here. Oops. I think if I press escape, okay. So when I hit this trigger, you can see the 3 loadouts. It's 3. It could be 2 or 4 or 5 because it is 3 because I set it to 3. Since now when this timer ends, it's going to select a random one. Okay, it's selected the loadout sniper. You can see it flashing and it says winner. And then I got my items, and I also, I got my, health modification and stuff like that. And since it is 1 player remaining to vote, if I vote, it's going to end immediately. As you can see, there were 2 seconds left, but it ended immediately. I'm not getting a shield That's because I guess I forgot to set the shield settings from the island settings. That's okay. I mean, as long as you set your island and class selector, class designer settings correctly, it would work correctly. And so, and again, let me show you. You can like customize everything here. You know, literally everything from their textures to from their positions is customizable, and you can do that just by changing the changing the values on the device. And that was all. To access the code or the assets of this video, you can check our Patreon. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed, and also leave a comment on what tutorial you would want to see next. See you later.